I'm so glad that everyone was able to join us today for some fellowship. And hopefully, I haven't seen her actually on the Zoom call yet, but hopefully we'll be hearing shortly from our mayor, MaryAnn Baldwin. You know, I'm not sure that when our mayor kind of drew up her plans for 2020, she quite had in mind the way things turned out with the global pandemic and, you know, all the issues with financing local government that arise from a recession, plus, you know, this season of unrest and protests and what that's done to our downtown area. But we certainly appreciate all that she is doing to help navigate our city through these stormy waters, and looking forward to hearing her plans for the future. So without further delay, let's go ahead and kick off our meeting so we can hear from our mayor soon. But we'll start with Director of Administration Richard Watkins for the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you all so very much for being here today. It's good to see everyone. It's good to hear your wonderful voices, including the wonderful voice that's going to lead us in song here in a little bit. I was trying to figure out just exactly what I was going to say today, and I came across a kind of old analogy that people use all the time, which is canary in the coal mine. Now, that saying came to be because coal miners who would mine for coal would oftentimes be exposed to toxins such as carbon monoxide. All of these toxins had the ability to kill the coal miner. So what they would do is they would go into the coal mines with a canary. The canary, being more sensitive to the toxins, would die if it was exposed to the toxins before the coal miners ever received any kind of lethal dose. See, what would happen to something that was very small and very vulnerable would oftentimes give the stronger coal miners an opportunity to save themselves. And I actually like to think about that analogy all the time when I think what it means to serve and what it means to be in service. Because I know if I am able to help the sick now, then maybe, just maybe, things will be different when I get sick. And if it doesn't happen for me, then what happened for my daughter or later generations. I pray for people who have lost their jobs, because I know maybe one day I too may lose my job. And if we're able to deal with that situation now, then it will protect me later on. And if not me, then people that I care about. I pray for the people who have lost their homes, because I know that maybe, just maybe, one day I could experience the unfortunate event of losing my home. So if we're able to address those situations now, then maybe in the future, just maybe, I won't have to lose my home. I pray for all of those who have lost loved ones, because I know that maybe one day I too will experience that situation. Basically, what I am trying to say is I pray for canaries everywhere, because I understand that we are all connected. And that if you look at it that way, selfishness and selflessness is the same thing. And service to others is the exact same thing as service to self. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful, oh, spacious skies, oh, tender waves of grain, oh, purple mountains' majesty, above the frosted plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
All right. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Sevelin. Richard, thank you for that nice reminder that we're all in this together. And when any one of us suffers, that's a sign that all of us are suffering. And Sevelin, thank you again for your lovely singing. At this point, I'd like to introduce a couple of guests. First of all, hello to our Assistant District Governor, Deborah DeCamelis. Thank you for joining us today. Also want to welcome our guest that many of us were chatting with before the program began. That's James Lamantia. He is a current member of the Rotary Club of Northport, New York. James, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say a couple of words.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm a Rotarian of 15 years now in Northport, past president twice. I'm also the chair for Gift of Life Long Island, and on the secretary for Gift of Life International. And Gift of Life is the #1 charity in the world helping children with congenital heart disease. So very, very quickly, every year in this world, 1.2 million kids are born with some form of congenital heart disease in the world, and 93% of those kids are born in a country that could do absolutely nothing about it. So what we do is we try to help as many of those 93% as possible. We've been operating for over 46 years. It grew out of the Manhasset Rotary Club here on Long Island. To date, we've saved over 38,000 kids. Prior to COVID, we were doing over 3,000 surgeries a year. Every 3 hours, actually, a child is being saved by Gift of Life Long Island, Gift of Life International, excuse me. Gift of Life Long Island is one of 80 programs around the world that we monitor. So that's our mission for Gift of Life. Every year we go into places like, well, my location that I like to go to is in Central America. So I've been in Haiti, I've traveled to Honduras, El Salvador, and we go to some of these countries where doctors are able to diagnose children that have heart disease, but can do nothing about it. So we bring our teams of doctors into the country to perform these surgeries. And again, every 3 hours prior to COVID, a child was being saved by Gift of Life. At some point, I'd love to come back and maybe do a full presentation for you about that. But I currently own with a partner, Lamantia Gallery, which is a 31-year-old fine art gallery on Long Island. We call it the Gold Coast of Long Island, which is halfway between Manhattan and the Hamptons on the North Shore. We have a location in Manhattan that's supposed to be opening soon. Because of COVID, we've been delayed. We have little satellite locations, but my son is moving to Wake Forest. So I've taken a property with my partner down in Cameron Village, and we plan to open most likely the first week of January. So my gallery will have a new location down there. I'm coming down next week for a few days to look at apartments, to start laying out the work for the property. And it's going to be a phenomenal gallery. Looking forward to it. And actually, the reason why I wanted to also just introduce myself is this is a pop-up gallery. I'm doing a short-term lease of about 4 or 5 months, but ideally it gets legs, and we'll be looking to employ, possibly partner with somebody locally to take over this location as we open others around the country. So I'm glad to be, whenever I speak at another Rotary, I feel like I'm talking to family, and I appreciate that from all of you guys speaking earlier. And if you have any questions, or if anyone wants to get in touch with me about the new gallery opening and someone that they might want me to meet, perhaps to work in it, or perhaps an art lover, I guess you could always go through Eric, and he has all my contact information as well. And I'd also love to come back to talk about Gift of Life. I have a nice presentation I could share with you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And so glad to have you in the neighborhood. I can't wait to check out the gallery, and I'm sure you'll be around quite a bit to visit your son in Wake Forest. So welcome. I understand that we also have Pamela Blizzard of the Southeast Raleigh Rotary Club here visiting today. Welcome, Pamela. I hope you're doing well today.
Thank you. Hello, hello.
And I understand now that we do have Buck Hunt, who is a guest of the mayor, who is visiting us today. Welcome, Buck.
Hi there. I think Eric Larson had sent an invitation for me through Christy, and I really appreciate you guys letting me sit in on this meeting today. I guess the last time I spoke to you guys was back in March, right before everything shut down. So it's good to hear from you guys again. Thank you.
Buck, thank you so much for joining us. And I had a short senior moment there, and didn't kind of connect you with your talk that you gave us back a few months ago. But thank you for coming, and welcome. And we will hear more from the mayor later, but Mayor Baldwin, thank you as well for joining us. All right, next on our agenda, I want to take a moment to remind all of you to make a donation towards Alzheimer's research. I try to say this every meeting, but just because we are not able to be in person and we don't have those blue buckets sitting there at the tables doesn't mean that the need for research to deal with this horrible disease has gone away. I understand that donations to CART are significantly down during this COVID time period with no end in sight. So I'm going to be sending Linda a message in the chat for my CART donation, and I ask that all of you do as well. All right, and let's see, I believe we have a happy dollar from our own Linda Monahan.
Thank you, Eric. And actually what I am going to do in light of that is make a CART contribution. It's my anniversary this week. And so in honor of my 31st anniversary and the fact that my husband successfully had surgery last week to remove the second piece of wood that went into his arm from a freak landscaping accident, I will donate $31 to CART this week. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Linda. And such a strange thing that happened to your husband, but I'm glad that everything was taken care of and he's doing well.
Well, thank you. It's been a roller coaster 31 years. That's not such a freak accident for him. So. But never dull. It's never dull.
Well, may we all be blessed to live in exciting times, I guess.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a great lineup of programs coming up. So here's our October lineup. Next week, we've got a return engagement from our friend Dr. Ralph Barrick with UNC, and he is going to give us an update on where things stand in the global fight against COVID-19. As you know, he gave one of the best and most well-received programs that we've had in a long time, and made us all a lot more knowledgeable about what this disease is and how to fight it. And so looking forward to hearing more from him. Then the following week, we have Derek Wittenberg of North Carolina State Wolfpack fame. The star and national championship will be sharing some news with us. And continuing in that Wolfpack vein, the following week, we have Dr. Randy Woodson, the Chancellor of North Carolina State University. It'll be very interesting to hear from him and hear how North Carolina State is handling this whole situation with students trying to learn during the pandemic. And finally, last but not least, October 26th, we have Brad Davis, the executive director of the Wake Med Foundation, and I believe Robert Ainge, who's the chair of the board of the Wake Med Foundation. So a lot to look forward to. Next, I wanted to give a brief report on something that a number of us did this Saturday. I think 7 of us in the Raleigh Rotary Club joined in the district fall assembly, which took place this Saturday. And it was a great time. Again, this is a Zoom assembly, as they all are these days. But we had a great opportunity to hear about some special projects that clubs have been undertaking with some help from district grants. There were recognitions of Paul Harris Fellows and various milestone awards given out. And we had a couple of interesting speakers. There was a woman named Karen Hendrick Hands who spoke to us. She's a Rotarian from Madison, Wisconsin, who's one of the co-founders of SRAG, which is the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group. So she gave us some very interesting information about the new 7th Rotary area of service, the environmental sustainability kind of area of service. And as we understand it now, it's going to be much easier for clubs to secure Rotary grants for environmental projects. There's going to be less need to sort of tie in whatever the purpose is with one of the other areas of focus, such as child health or that kind of thing. So that was a very interesting presentation. We also heard some good news and some maybe less good news on the polio front. So of course, for those of you who have not heard, there was this great announcement from the World Health Organization on August 25th, 2020, that the entire continent of Africa has now been declared free of the wild polio virus. So that is a wonderful milestone. That's the very good news. The news that's a little more challenging now is the progress on kind of wiping out the disease in Afghanistan and Pakistan, where the wild polio virus is still hasn't completely been wiped out, has been made more difficult by the pandemic. It's obviously harder for health workers to get to some of these tribal areas due to concerns about their safety and their health. But we do need to keep our feet on the gas. We do need to keep fighting this because this disease will take a chance to come back if we let it. So we all need to kind of continue to pitch in to support Rotary's efforts to fight polio. And you'll be hearing more from us as World Polio Day approaches in October. So keep an eye out for that. All right, now I'm going to ask Christy Santacana to give us an update on membership and the social that we just had.
Eric, thank you to everyone that did come to our virtual social via Zoom this past Thursday. We had a small crowd this time, and we had a great time catching up. A little over an hour in there, was caught up on life and everything going on and news events. So we're going to continue doing those monthly. We'll let you know the date for the next one next week. We're going to finalize that and hope more people can join next time. And other than that, just keep in mind, we're still taking applications for memberships. If you have any ideas of anyone that may be a potential new member, send them along to me, or maybe they just want to attend a few Zoom meetings to see what it's like. We'd love to pass that along so we can have them as a guest. So just keep me posted of any potential ideas. And that's it for today.
Thanks a lot, Kristen. All right, and now I'd like to hear from Gina Yacone. I understand that she has some information about an upcoming service opportunity.
Hi, everyone. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Couple of things. One, Sarah has this amazing event for Dorothea Dix Park. If you want to kind of get out in the fresh air and distribute door hangers at an assigned location on October 3rd, she is in need of some help. So what it is it's going around putting door hangers on people's doors to explain about the upcoming Plaza and Play public engagement meeting, which that meeting is taking place on October 7th. So wanted you guys to know about that opportunity if you wanted to get your steps in as well as help out our park. So I have Sarah's information there, or you can reach out to me if you're interested. Of course, that's coming up. Believe it or not, October is right around the corner, shockingly. So this event does take place where they need help on October 3rd. Some of the other things that I wanted to quickly talk to you guys about, I wanted you to save the date for October 24th. That is a Saturday. I know I don't have a slide for that. I'm sorry. I am running a little behind, but October 24th is World Polio Day. It is a Saturday, and I'm hoping to maybe get some park space, maybe either at Dorothea Dix or somewhere where we could kind of do a donation drive for polio and maybe some books, where it'll be a span of time, maybe 4 hours. You come out within that 4-hour time frame, come and hang out with me for a couple of moments, of course, socially distanced. And we will, kind of celebrate all of the efforts and achievements that Africa has done in the fight against polio, and maybe raise some money for the polio eradication in the Afghanistan area, as well as maybe do something for our local community if that's a park event, and maybe a book drive. So those are things that I'm thinking about for October. There are other things on the horizon, more to be determined, and I'll let you know more next week. Thank you so much for your time, and Eric, it's back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Gina, for all your great work with the service projects, and thank you to Sarah Reeves for continuing to work with us on staying in touch with the city in its efforts to develop Dix Park. That the first phase of that development of Dix Park is very exciting. I'm sure we'll hear a little word from the mayor about that shortly. So thank you, Sarah, and please do volunteer to help put out that information. And next, we'll hear from Mark Hackett, if you're there, with an update on the Southeast Rally Club.
Hey, Eric and Club, how you doing? Just very quickly, of course, the Southeast Rally Club is our satellite club. Pam is on today, as Eric introduced earlier. I'm glad she's able to join us. The biggest piece of news, I think, is last week they inducted a new member. So they are now up to 17 members and approaching that 20 mark slowly, but for sure. So that's about all I have for today. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Mark. And again, thanks, Pamela, for joining us today. Okay. We have some birthdays to announce. Happy birthday to Sarah Reeves. We're just mentioning her. September 25th. And happy birthday to Nicolette Fulton on the 26th. Also happens to be my mother's birthday. Eric Larson's birthday is the 28th today. Happy birthday, Eric. Braxton Wilson's is tomorrow, the 29th. And we have Tom Holder's birthday on October 1st. So congratulations to all of you for making it through another year. We also have anniversaries. Linda and Brian Monahan, happy anniversary to you all, and I hope you have a great time on your Santa Fe trip. And happy anniversary to Paul and Vaughn Corsa. All right, so with that, let's get to the meat of our program here. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Jim Dorsett to introduce our speaker, the mayor. Jim, I think you're on mute.
All right, guys.
Still on mute.
All right, there we go. There we go. I was waiting for the magical powers of our executive secretary to release mute. So it's truly an honor for me to have the opportunity to introduce our speaker today. Our speaker is a leader who truly needs no introduction, especially to this group of downtown business and professional leaders. MaryAnn Baldwin grew up in Rhode Island. She attended the University of Rhode Island. She has a background as a journalist and newspaper editor, but she's been in Raleigh for 30 plus years. She founded Baldwin Communications, and she has 30 years experience in communications, marketing, branding, and design. MaryAnn has served 5 terms on the Raleigh City Council. And during that time, she has served on virtually every committee, the important ones for the city. And she has emphasized during her time entrepreneurship, such as through Innovate Raleigh, housing options for citizens, including affordable housing, and transit. She's done a lot in those 3 areas. As I think was mentioned, she was also instrumental as a member of the City Council in the creation of Dix Park as a destination park for the city of Raleigh and the state of North Carolina. She's been active in the arts and in many areas of public service outside of her service on the City Council. Now, as if she didn't have enough on her plate dealing with all of the challenges and opportunities facing our great city, she currently serves as the executive director of the Holt Brothers Foundation and as vice president of business development and marketing for Holt Brothers Inc. In addition, she's an active family person. She's married to Jim Baldwin. MaryAnn has a daughter, Lauren, and son-in-law, Sebastian, who live in Atlanta, and she has a number of grandchildren as well. But very importantly, in addition, she has 2 very active large dogs, Jack Bauer and Charlie Brown. She enjoys skiing, golf, reading, cooking, and perhaps as a result, also fitness. She's very active in that way. And so without further ado, I give you the speaker we're very fortunate to have with us today, MaryAnn Baldwin, Mayor of the City of Raleigh.
Thank you, Jim. So my dogs are actually really like 10-pound dogs, but that's okay. Jack Bauer thinks he's a very large dog.
Right.
And I saw in the chat too, somebody mentioned I was a Boston Red Sox fan, and that is true. So they're not doing so well this year, but that's okay. At least we have some sports to watch. I wanted to talk to you today about the affordable housing bond that the city has on the ballot this year. And then I'll open it up to questions. I know that probably the protests are on everybody's mind right now, and I'm happy to respond to any questions you might have regarding any topic on your mind. But first, let me start off with the housing bond that we are, as I said, will be on the ballot. It's $80 million. It will cost the average, the owner of an average home $20 a year in taxes. That would go into effect in July of next year. The bond was put together by a committee. It was made up of 24 members. They represented our nonprofit, private sector, community members, and faith-based organizations. So really representative of our entire city. They held 14 meetings, some pre-COVID, most post-COVID. So there was a lot of Zoom calls. They held in-person meetings, conference calls, Zoom meetings, and the public was invited to attend those. They also other forms of engagement and how they got to the bond that is posted. They did have open meetings, small group presentations, and one-on-one virtual meetings with community leaders. We also worked with people in the industry who build affordable housing, see what their challenges are, and what some of the needs were. We also distributed a survey in English and in Spanish, and we got almost 5,000 responses from people, very favorable and supportive of the bond. We also posted a lot on social media and took out ads in the Carolinian, Triangle Tribune, the Indy Cape Hassa, and the NNO, just to spread the word about the bond and incorporate engagement. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what is in the bond package. First off, we have two programs. One is for down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. About $6 million will go toward that. Traditionally, or I should say, what we have found is 66% of the funds that we have used for down payment assistance have gone to women, many of whom are single heads of households. So it is a way for us to help people who would never be able to buy a home otherwise. They're usually in the 50 to 80% of AMI, that's the average median income. But that's been a very successful program and will continue to be through this bond. We also have a program that offers home rehabilitation assistance. This has been a very popular program. A lot of times people will sell their homes, especially in some of our more vulnerable neighborhoods, because they can't afford to maintain it. It needs work. Maybe the air conditioning isn't working. There might be roof leaks, just an assortment of needs. This will allow us to provide loans, but they are forgiven after 5 years. The program is focused on senior citizens and also on the disabled. Now, I guess I feel kind of weird saying senior citizens, because I guess some people could say I fit in that category. But it really is a great program that allows people to stay in their neighborhoods, stay in their homes. They can get up to $90,000. And as I said, the loan is forgiven after 5 years, and it just helps a lot of people. We also have gap financing that we use for our low-income housing tax credits. Those are mostly rental properties that are built to house people in an affordable manner. We did some research, and this usually goes up to 50% AMI. Again, that's average median income. But what we found is that 37% of the affordable rental units that are built using this program are actually inhabited by people at 30% AMI, many of whom have housing vouchers. So this serves a wide stream of incomes, and also serves some of our most vulnerable citizens. 24 million will go toward that specific financing. We have another 28 million, which will go to public-private partnerships. And I want to expand on that a little bit, because this is where we can really do some good work with Wake County as a partner and other nonprofit entities. So for instance, hold on one second. Okay. So for instance, I don't know if any of you have heard of the organization Healing Transitions. but they help men and women with addictions who are homeless. And if you've ever toured Healing Transitions, I mean, it blew my mind, the work that they do. But I will tell you, right now, they don't have enough room for people. There are people sleeping in sleeping bags on the floor. And, these are, again, our most vulnerable citizens, people who need help. So we will put some money, probably $2 million, along with the county. They will put $2 million in to help expand the Healing Transitions campus so they can serve more people. CASA is another organization that builds for affordable housing, primarily in the past for the disabled, those with mental health issues, and also veterans. But they have an idea for a new project, and it would be a community that it's called Knights Ridge, and it will be located near Wake Med. They're looking at 100 units, and they would primarily house families. They're looking to try and get families who are now living in hotels, out of hotels, into stable housing. And we will match the county again and work with this nonprofit developer to expand our housing stock. So that's the types of public-private partnerships we're looking at. And then 16 million will go to transit-oriented site acquisition. And what that means in layman's terms is it gives us the ability to purchase property that will be on transit lines, BRT lines specifically. So we have a say over how that's developed. And then we can, ensure that affordable housing is built in the future. So that is the total package for the bond. And what I want to do basically is just take any questions that you might have about this or about any other issues that are on your mind. So I'll quit talking now and leave it to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Baldwin. What we have asked people to do is to leave their questions in the chat. So we'll start off by going to those, and I'll leave that to Valerie Evans if she's on to read you the questions from the chat, and then if there's time when those are all done, we may have time for a few more.
I'm trying to find the beginning of the thread here. Thank you, Mayor Baldwin, for being here with us. Let's see. As a new biz to the area, what's the mayor's suggestion as the best way to meet potential staff?
What does potential staff mean?
What that means is I have hi Mayor, pleasure to meet you. I'm a Rotarian.
Welcome.
I'm a Rotarian in New York. I have a gallery on Long Island, a satellite gallery in Manhattan, and my son's moving to Wake Forest, so I want to be closer, and we're opening a gallery in Cameron Village. So the question is, having never been to Raleigh, but heard wonderful things about it, I'm getting an apartment, moving down. How do I meet staff? How do I meet art consultants, people that would be interested in the arts and interested in being on a team of my group? We've been together over 31 years.
Oh, wow. Well, we're happy to have you coming down here. My suggestion would be to reach out to Sarah Powers. We have an arts department, and she heads that up. She's formerly with the Visual Art Exchange, which is one of our nonprofit arts organizations. And Sarah can kind of help you navigate this space. So she would be the best person. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to look up her email if you don't mind. What I'll do is I'll look up at her email and I will put it in the chat so you can have an answer to that.
Appreciate it.
All right, next question from Wilson Heyman. Mayor Baldwin, downtown Raleigh has made tremendous progress over the past 30 or more years until now. The effect of COVID-19 and the looting have been shocking, and I'm told much of the destruction here is much worse than Charlotte and most other North Carolina cities. What are the city council's plans to get our downtown and businesses back on track? This will not happen without everyone's support, and especially the cities.
Well, that is true. We have had more, I would say, destruction and also disruption, in part because we are the capital city. And what happened in May, capital cities across the country were targeted. And it really has been disconcerting and also alarming to see the types of things that have occurred. You know, we did have protests this past Saturday. There were 2 protests, mostly peaceful. And then toward the end, people started breaking windows, specifically targeting 2 downtown businesses. I think that the major issue is, how do we help our small businesses who are currently feeling the effects of COVID, and also the effects of the looting that occurred. So one thing we did was we stood up a small business grant program, put $1 million into that. I worked with the Chamber of Commerce, Adrian Cole and Jim Hansen from PNC. We raised an additional $600,000 from our corporate community, and we assisted almost 200 businesses in that regard. We also have a program that we're running that allows restaurants and retail shops to use the sidewalks and parking spaces outside. If you've seen Bittersweet, they have a beautiful parklet that they created where they can seat people outside. People tend to feel safer being outside than indoors. And they've had a full patio every weekend. Garland recently reopened with parklet dining, as did their neighbor next door, Capital 16 restaurant, and Raleigh Times also has a parklet that they have used. So we're trying to encourage the use of outdoor space. Bill King with the Downtown Raleigh Alliance is also they're hosting 2 events on Fayetteville Street. I believe it's October 2nd and October 10th. We'll be closing down the street to car traffic and encouraging people to enjoy restaurants and socialize, come out to the museums. They're open again. And again, we're mass social distance, but we're trying to bring people back downtown. And then, we're looking at ways that we can assist business owners who have boarded up. We made a grant to the DRA, $300,000, that they are using as part of a grant program to help people with facades and other types of needs that they may have. And discussions with the DRA about, I think we have 27 businesses who have not gotten their boards down, most of them because they are waiting for the glass to come in. There's a glass shortage in our country for this very reason. So we're working with them, and the DRA is helping in that regard. We also have been meeting with our business alliances. I've also been working with, there's a Harvard Bloomberg leadership cohort of mayors, and we have people who come speak to us. The last one was on small businesses and how we can assist them. And what this one of the experts has suggested from Harvard Business School is that we bring together our banking community to ensure that loans continue to be made to small businesses and those in need. So we're finding out more on that, and we'll be initiating that action as well. As far as downtown itself is concerned, you know, the people who are coming downtown are mostly peaceful protesters, and they have a constitutional right to be there. There is a right for assembly and free speech. I've been asked a number of times, well, can't you prohibit them from protesting after dark? The answer to that is no. They have a right to assemble at any time. They do not have to get a permit from the city. Been asked that a number of times. We do not permit these events. Again, there's constitutional right to free assembly, constitutional right to free speech. What we have tried to do is not escalate the situation, but we cannot ban people from downtown. They have the right to be there. What we are doing, though, is we have been more aggressive in making arrests when a crime occurs. And one of the crimes is vandalizing. The protesters have gotten very sophisticated in how they now block people with umbrellas. You might have seen some of that on the news. They post up umbrellas so people cannot see who's actually throwing the bricks. And TV crews cannot capture that information or other video. So, you know, our police officers are doing the best they can without escalating the situation. We have not had any injuries during the last few protests, which is good news. The destruction has been minimal compared to what happened in May. But we are going to continue to see protest. As I said, we are the capital city. This is where people gravitate to.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Baldwin. Next question from Mary Moss. I support healing transitions and applaud what the city is considering here. Thanks so much for mentioning it. How much are you considering for CASA or CASA? Also a great cause.
We have not had, and Mary, it's so appropriate that you would be thinking from a fundraising standpoint. We have not had formal discussions with CASA yet. In fact, I had a conversation with Mary Jean the other day and asked her to meet with Larry Jarvis, our housing director, to start those discussions on dollar amount. So those discussions have just begun.
Mayor Baldwin, would you mind just sharing with the people perhaps like me who don't know what CASA is, what that is?
They're a nonprofit home builder. So they build affordable housing. As I said, in the past, mostly they have worked with veterans, those with mental health issues, the disabled. And now that this particular development they're looking to build would be focused on a mix of incomes, but also have supportive services available, and they would focus on families.
Thank you.
Okay, question from Pamela Blizzard. She's giving a thanks and exclamation point, but I've heard criticism that the planned use of the bond funds don't reach deeply enough into the most disadvantaged folks' needs, down below the 50% AMI, for example. Do you have any, what can you say about that in the city's priorities?
I did not hear the question, and I was trying to find the question on the chat.
Pamela Blizzard came in at 114.
Okay. And it's, what can you say about this in the city's priorities?
With the bond.
Okay. I have heard criticism that the planned uses of the bond funds don't reach deeply enough into the most disadvantaged folks' needs, down below the 50% AMI. As I said, Pamela, the research we've done has shown that even with the low-income housing, which goes up to 50% AMI, 30% of the residents are at 30% AMI. So it's mixed income housing. And we also, the public-private partnerships that I illustrated, those are people who are the most vulnerable. And that bucket of funding will primarily help those who are in the most need, especially our homeless community and whatnot. I'm just going to say this. The criticism is coming from some folks who were formerly on the council and tried to get a bond passed 2 years ago or a year ago, and it didn't move forward, in part because it had never been vetted, and they just pulled a figure out of thin air and said, let's put a bond on for $50 million. They never did any community engagement, whatnot. A lot of this is politics, the criticism you're hearing, and the facts are very different.
Okay, right above Pamela from our president, Eric Stevens. Mayor Baldwin, can you provide our members with a very broad general overview of the city's financial situation and how it's been affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, so we, pre-COVID, we're in great shape. Post-COVID, our sales tax revenue is down dramatically. And we had a $28 million budget deficit. So we've had to take measures to ensure that we have a balanced budget. We have basically put a hiring freeze on, except for some key positions, but we're not hiring. We've had to cut some of our programs. And we're waiting for January to see how our revenue looks and if our projections for sales tax revenue were accurate. We have not given our employees a raise. We have a 2% raise budgeted for January, but we have to wait and see if the revenue is coming in the way we estimated. So, you know, it's really unfortunate, but right now our cities and towns, when we need to put money into programs and other things, we don't have it. And that's one of our big challenges is how do we continue to help those in need without, I mean, we have to have a balanced budget. So that's the challenge that we face. And we get pretty much monthly updates from our city manager. But the big thing will be coming in December when we start looking at whether our revenues are keeping pace the way we had hoped.
Okay, question from James Dorset. What do you foresee ahead during the next 10 years for the growth and development of Raleigh, especially its downtown and post-pandemic?
You know, I have tremendous optimism about our future. We have heard from the Chamber of Commerce, Wake County Economic Development, that all of the companies that were looking at potentially moving to Raleigh are still interested. Not one of those projects has gone away. We also, I don't know if you saw this article or not, but one of the moving companies said that this is one of the top areas that people are moving to, RTP. So there is a lot of interest and migration here, still happening despite COVID. And I think maybe not despite COVID, but because of COVID. People are looking for new areas to live, new ways to live, especially from some of our densely populated urban areas. So we are seeing a lot of interest here. You know, we also have some, I should say, some interesting redevelopment projects that have come up. One is Downtown South, a John Kane project, Steve Malik, who owns the Carolina Courage. They have purchased property at I-40 near South Saunders Street. You know, we went and toured the property. There was a lot of concern about gentrification, whatnot. These are former industrial sites that are no longer used. So it really is a great opportunity for us to build things that are affordable, to ensure that there is affordable housing, to ensure that there are jobs created for our local communities. And one of the things we'll be doing is negotiating a type of what's called a community benefits plan with the developer. And you know, I think that that is a great opportunity for us to continue to see downtown grow. Also, that area will be linked by bus rapid transit, either on South Saunders Street or on Wilmington Street to the main downtown. So I think that that is really exciting and could really change a lot about Raleigh in our future. We also have the Dix Park, as was mentioned earlier. You know, people don't realize it. One of the challenges of Dix Park is it was built to keep people out. And now we have to re-envision that area to invite people in. So Dix is a 20-minute walk from downtown. So one of the things we need to do is make that more walkable and provide more direction to how you can walk there. You know, the use of bicycles will also be important, connecting downtown to Dix Park. You know, there are some of us who would love to see a gondola. We'll see if that materializes, but Dix Park is going to be an extension of our downtown in the heart of our city. You know, I think that COVID has really changed the way people shop. It's changed the way businesses do business. One of the reasons or one of the challenges that we have right now with downtown is companies like Red Hat and Citrix, many law firms, but a lot of the office workers are working from home. And so we don't have people coming downtown. They're not on the streets. That also makes downtown not feel as safe as it once did. So we are really going to encourage people starting in January or when it's safe to start slowly gravitating back to their offices and allowing them to support the community. It's going to take all of us together and working together, but I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop.
Okay, Mayor Baldwin, I want to be mindful of your time. It is 1:32, and I have 2 more questions in the chat.
Okay.
The first, are you making any special preparations for November 3rd, or maybe the next few days after November 3rd?
Yes, we are. Okay. And I can't get into details, but yes, that is something where our police department and management team is looking very closely at and working with the state as well.
Okay, and Dana Magliona wants to know if you can talk about the future of Major League Baseball in Raleigh.
Oh man, well, that's apparently not on our radar right now. We are right now, our hospitality, the interlocal fund, that's our hospitality tax. You know, we have a fee or a tax that is put on hotel rooms, occupancy tax, and then food and beverage tax on food and beverages that are sold. There's very little money in the fund because, again, nobody's staying at hotels and people are not eating in restaurants the way they once did or drinking in bars. Bars are still closed. So that has really taken a major hit. So, you know, right now, we are dreaming. And one of the things we'll be talking about is PNC Arena. Do the Hurricanes stay there, or do we build a hockey stadium downtown? That's one of the things we'll be looking at. You know that a soccer stadium was proposed for downtown South, and there was funding sought for that. Again, right now, we don't have the funding. So we're going to have to wait for the interlocal funding to rebound. And quite frankly, I don't see that as a priority at this time. And I know that some people will be heartbroken to hear that, but that's where we are right now.
Okay, that's it for my questions. Thank you so much, Mayor Baldwin.
Okay.
All right, Mayor Baldwin, thank you so much I know you have a full schedule and lots of things on your plate right now, so we really appreciate you taking the time today to come and share all of this with us. I know from my standpoint, the main thing that I'm taking away from your talk is that I'm really planning for this to be able to take a gondola from my office to Dix Park. So just have it be known that your reelection, at least in terms of my vote, really depends on that gondola.
I love it.
But no, thank you so much for all of the information about the housing bond. Everyone, please do your homework and learn up on that. And be prepared to make an educated vote. Thank you so much for sharing with us about all of the work that you're doing to take care of our downtown and our downtown businesses, and to address all of the issues that we're facing due to the protests, and for everything else that you are doing. Thanks to everyone for joining in today. And I do think Raleigh is a magnet for lots of people. We have Mr. La Mancha from New York as an example here visiting us today of someone that's.
So, and I wanted to ask you if you could email me, and I will get you Sarah's email and make an introduction. So my email is Mary, it's MARY with a hyphen, ANN.Baldwin @RaleighNC.gov. So again, that's MaryAnn Baldwin, MARY with a hyphen, ANN.Baldwin, BALDWIN @RaleighNC.gov. And I will make that connection for you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, welcome to Raleigh.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again, everyone. And we will close, as we always do, with the four-way test. First, of all of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build
goodwill and better friendships?
And finally, will it
be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you next week when we have Dr. Barrett here.
That spells Rotary. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good one.